half. Texas Tech is currently leading BYU in the Big 12 championship game 24-7. The MAC championship between Miami of Ohio and Western Michigan is in progress, and the Broncos are leading the Redhawks 23-6. The SEC championship game between Georgia and Alabama is set to kick off at 4 o'clock down in Atlanta. Virginia and Duke will kick off for the ACC crown at 8 o'clock tonight. Breaking sports news right here on The Fan.
You're listening to the KeyBank pregame show. The only way to get ready for a Buckeye game. Your home for Ohio State athletics. The Fan. It's time to find out what they're saying.
All right, welcome back in. This is the KeyBank Fan pregame show. Matty Ice, Justin Zwick, Dane Sanzenbacher getting you ready for Ohio State and Indiana over in Indy for a Big Ten championship game. Before we hear from Coach Day on his quarterback at Julian Sand, I want you guys to hear from Coach Day on Curt Cignetti and his thoughts on what he's done.
The first thing that jumps out to me is how hard they play, how well they're coached. They play fast. They're explosive team, and just watching them on film, they're run through everybody. I mean, they're just the scores and the way that they play. They're very efficient, and really have done a great job. To your point, I think. They're, in Coach Cignetti's ability to, get this thing turned around. Look at his record the last 2 years since he's been there. And a lot of people make comments about, what he said about Google him. But, yeah, Google him. Look at what he's done. I got a lot of respect for what he's put on the field and what he's done.
Coach is referencing that quote. I remember when I first heard it, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Who the hell is this dude?
This is Indiana coach is talking smack right now.
Like coming from James Madison, you know what I mean? It's like he set a tone early, and he backed it up.
He did.
So you got to give him credit for that.
I'm like, and I do have to Google you because I've never heard of you. I've never heard of you before. So where did you come from?
I was going to do that anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Listen, but I think even for me right now, while I can respect what they've done over the last couple years, I still see that helmet. Mm-hmm. I still see that logo, and I'm like, I'm not all the way there with thinking this is going to be year in and year out with them. Now, I'm willing to be proven wrong. I'll come in here and eat crow if I am wrong. But where we are right now, this guy has them as the number 2 team in the country. And we talked about the portal. We talked about Diego Pavia early. I mean, think about this. Vanderbilt and Indiana are very, very good programs and relevant. And Vanderbilt just this week stole a 5-star quarterback from Georgia. Yeah. I mean, that's the world that we're living in now, is that if you have NIL support, if you have a head coach that can galvanize people and bring in timely transfers and guys with him, maybe coming from another program, Dan, you can get this thing rolling quickly, man. So you got to give Cignetti credit for what he's done.
It's almost like there's a reset, like not even that long ago, 2-3 years ago, that like is the new world of college football, and you needed to get on board. It's like Indiana catching fire at this time and Vanderbilt is the perfect time to do it because the world is still shifting. Now you've got the donors that want to be a part of this picture. Now they're on board. Yeah. I mean, Indiana's getting big donors now that's like, okay, this is it. We've got a guy. And now you've set yourself up. Like, if you didn't make that Curt Cignetti hire, you missed that boat, you might be floating forever in the mid-tier Big Ten abyss. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure what this is going to look like in 5 years. I don't think any of us are. It's going to be a crazy thing to watch. Yeah, there's not a thing you can really point at. I'm with you on the first front, and that's because I played against Indiana, and I have too much history with Indiana to not see that as a non-threatening logo. And that's no disrespect. That just is what it was. And even, I mean, I'll tell you, here's an anecdote. Most people know my wife is a Hoosier, and her whole family are Hoosiers. So it's Christmas right now. I mean, it is. Everybody's all in. Yeah. When we started dating, this was, I don't know, might have been like 8 years ago. Indiana was so bad that I felt comfortable wearing IU gear because it was such a different thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I felt comfortable wearing
the underdog back.
I was wearing an IU hat, and it was of no threat to Ohio State fans. Mm-hmm. No more. Mm-hmm. Like, that is not the case. Mm-hmm. That's where I'm coming from. So it is so relatively new, but you cannot help but tip your hat to what has been built here, because it would be really easy to say, oh, well, you just went and it's a new college football. You just went and bought your roster. Okay, sure. This is happening at the same time when you're going to have to pay to get the players. We got that. But if you look at the playmakers, a lot of these guys you weren't clamoring after them. These guys were James Madison. Mm-hmm. I mean, Fernando Mendoza, he was a good quarterback at Cal. That was a huge get for them this year, obviously. But I mean, the running backs, I think it's 11 years of experience in the backfield between the two. Like, these guys have just played a ton of football, have been solid, and have stayed. You know, a lot of the top receivers, they were in this game last year. Indiana is in a sweet spot of, one, very well coached. They don't seem to make many self-inflicted mistakes. Their offensive line has gotten better.
Yeah.
And the guys that they have are like the perfect college player. They're not really dealing with like, oh, losing this guy to the NFL. These guys are graduating. You know, it's such a strange place to be, but you can't point at one thing and be like, you're cheating.
Yeah.
Well,
I've
you
tried,
point to
Matt,
one thing.
I tried. Like, it's not.
It's legit, man.
The one thing you point to is that everybody can pay their players now. I mean, you had a guy go from Georgia to Vanderbilt. That would have never happened
Never.
before NIL.
No.
He'd have been at Georgia, and he'd have probably been getting paid something. But it would have been NIL
Well,
money.
that's the thing. It's like,
So, I mean, it allows more programs, I think, to say, hey, we got some money over here. Come see us.
Yep. Once you prove it, and then because in another world, those best Indiana players, they're somewhere else. They're Max Clare.
Yes.
You know, Purdue doesn't have it to keep him,
Right.
or doesn't have the potential of being great to keep him. There would be a lot of people that would take the guys from this Indiana roster. The thing is, Indiana's like, nope. The athletic department stepped up to the table and said, no, we're keeping them. We're going to go along for this ride.
We're bought in.
And here's what it is. It's such a strange thing to see.
It is. They're a veteran team, and we've seen that work over the last few years in college football. You look at last year's Ohio State
Last two
team,
national champions.
Michigan the year. Like, those teams had juniors and seniors that have been around for a while and played a lot of football. Indiana got a taste last year. They went up against Ohio State. They know what it feels like to go up against that level up in talent. When you're a 3-star guy that was at James Madison, and now you're having to play one of the biggest brands in the country. You get a taste in the playoff last year. So they turned the page and were able to just settle in and know that, hey, we can do this. We can go from start to finish and be in the mix with some of the elite programs around the sport. So, yeah, you guys are right. It's wild times, and especially that Vandy example.
Yes.
Like that would, to me, I said on the show they are this week, that would be like Northwestern stealing a 5-star quarterback from Ohio State. Like, nobody would ever expect that to happen, but you hit a guy in Diego Pavia. There's kids that are looking at your program now and saying, okay, that's
Vanderbilt's
pretty
awesome.
legit.
In Nashville, it's a great school to go to. I mean, there's a lot of positives around that.
Yep.
You just got to get the wins to get the excitement for the kids that want to come there,
That's
right?
it.
And that's what they've done.
And so Ryan Day's got his guy, and Julian saying he'll have him again for next year, and that's very exciting. But what this guy's been able to do this year just been lights out. We heard about the arm talent all off season. It's one thing to hear it, but then to see it and how consistent it's has been great. Here's Coach Day on his growth this season.
Maybe he doesn't look different to you, but the guy who played against Texas and the guy who came off that field on Saturday look like two different people to me. Just the look in his eye. It's just, I guess, like when you send a sailor out to sea and he comes back, he looks different, or when you send a young man, to college and he comes back 4 years later, he looks different. Like, from that game to where he is now, he just, more experienced, more mature, just a different look in his eye, different walk, the way he talks, the way he moves, everything about it. And it's a tribute to the work he's put in, and the guys in the team believe in him.
I don't know if Julian's been asked this, but my gut is telling me that Texas game in game 1 did something for Julian, his confidence right out of the gate, right? And I think his ability to come out of that game, and maybe the stats weren't as sexy as they were last week, but to set the tone that way and knowing, hey, all eyes are going to be on me. Opposite me is Arch Manning, and everybody at the time was crowning him as the number 1 pick. And to kind of get that out of the way, and I think be able to take a deep breath and then just settle into the season after that, to me, I would love to ask him maybe what that did for him. Because to Coach Day's point, clearly he's around him much more than we are, but his just demeanor, Dane, all year long has just been calm, cool, and collected, just down the middle of the fairway, game in and game out.
It has, but he has taken steps. It has, and Coach Day said there, like, maybe it hasn't looked like it to you because we just got used to, oh yeah, this is just a dude doing the things, casually doing the things. But I don't know if it's because they've been putting a little bit more on him every week. They didn't put a lot on him in Texas. And Coach Day said after that game, we probably could have.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe it's something that he had in there. I don't know. Maybe you got a different breed of kid here and he didn't need that shakeup. And he said, I don't know. He looked different to me at the Michigan game. Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't have been surprised if he took off his helmet in the Michigan game, had a full beard. And been like, oh, okay.
No, I still don't think you can grow one of those.
Maybe not yet.
Can you imagine?
Just a James Harden beard.
Just because he beat Michigan? Yeah.
Be crazy. Justin, let me ask you this. As a former quarterback, what are some of those things that we may not see that Coach Day is talking about when it comes to his growth throughout the year?
I think most of that stuff is probably, the Julian you get in the huddle, in the meeting rooms, on the sideline, going over because there are a lot of iPads now, so you can see everything. I think it's probably just more of the confidence of, hey, this is what I saw. Every time he comes off that field, him and Ryan are having a conversation. Like that interception in Michigan. They were having a conversation. What'd you see? Yeah. Let's talk about it. I think throughout the year, I think the Texas game was a huge confidence builder for him. All you heard was this defense, new quarterback. They can't hang with these guys. He goes out and he could have had a better game statistically if we make a couple catches for him, and if we used him more, which we didn't. I think they brought him along masterfully this year, and they could do that with the defense they had and the players and just how the games went. But throughout the year, the confidence you build, I think that's just more of you're in the huddle, somebody's not paying attention. Hey. You get
Lock
that
in.
you get that attention, and in that first game of the year, he maybe wouldn't do something like that, and I haven't seen him do that, but I'm just guessing. Just being in the huddle and when you have that belief, yep, I'm the guy. This is my team. This is my huddle. This is my offense, and you really believe that, and you understand what the coaches are trying to do. I mean, my senior year in high school, I called plays the entire season,
really,
because I knew what we were trying to get to, and they believed in me to do that, and you take ownership, and I think. Probably the stuff Ryan's talking about is him taking that ownership of this is my huddle, this is my team, this is my offense, and just really believing in that. And just he's a quiet, Southern California kid, so maybe he's not that arrogant guy, but and he probably isn't still now. But there's just that confidence that comes through, and I think the team sees that and understands it, and they're ready to ride with him. And not a runner, not this athlete, blah, blah, blah. But, man, in the games, he's used his legs to pick up some big first downs. In Michigan, he did it. Mm-hmm. He just does such a good job staying calm in the pocket, doesn't get rattled, moves around easily. And then when he sees that, he goes and takes it, and that's a sign of a quarterback who's understanding. I just need to move the chains. I don't need that shot down there. It's 3rd and 4. I'm going to go pick this up right now. I'm not going to take a chance. And those little things just add up and add up and add up. And I think Ryan trusts him with everything right now.
I think you made a really good point about the leadership aspect of it and growing in that spot. And it's also the respect you gain. So, I mean, he could be as confident as he was going into that Texas game, had an outstanding game. Maybe he didn't need it for himself to feel good about himself or be confident, but the team needs it. The team needs to see you do it, because when it comes to leadership in locker rooms, you don't place yourself there. Your teammates place you there. And they place you in a leadership position by the respect they give you, by the plays you make. So if you're going out week 1, barking orders, you're almost out of place. You're like, dude, show me something. Right. But once you do it over the course of a season, I mean, you don't have to be the big talker, but the teammates will place you, and they'll just start looking at you differently. You go and beat Michigan, they're going to start looking at you differently. You're going to see a different kid that comes in the locker room next year because he's going to expect to be the leader. Julian saying, correct me if I'm wrong, is not a captain of this team.
No.
It's also rare. You don't see it much that your quarterback is not your captain. I can guarantee you he will be next year.
No doubt. That's great stuff.
There's competition coming out of camp. Who's going to be our guy? And then he goes out and has a 79% completion for the year. It's crazy.
He's the captain of the ship, for sure. That's great stuff out of you. I really enjoyed that. Hey, coming up next, we're going to hit you with our one tough animal for the week. And Justin mentioned that moment that Julian had last week where he moved the chains with his legs against Michigan. You'll hear from Coach Day on that exact play coming up next. This is the KeyBank Fan pregame show right here on The Fan.
Tweet from a listener. Are you carrying the Buckeye game today? Considering we've never not carried one, yes. The answer is yes. The Fan.
They're trained. They're fired up.
Let's do it.
When you need heat, they can't be beat. They're Ohio State's undefeated heating and cooling team. For plumbing, drain, heating, and cooling, there's only one team. The Waterworks. Better care, better value, better results. Call the Waterworks at 614-232-2222 or visit them online at thewaterworks.com. A proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Toyotathon is on, and there's no better way to get in the spirit of the season than with a new Toyota. Like the family-size Highlander and the bigger, more powerful Grand Highlander. Now through January 5th, you can get 4.75 APR financing on any remaining new 25 Highlander or Grand Highlander, including hybrid models. With approved credit through TFS. Plus, you get Toyota Care 2 years, no cost maintenance. For complete details, go to Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
How many different ways can you consume morning juice? Let's see. Live on YouTube, live on the Fans HD3 podcast on demand, and on 10 TV Plus. And we'll send Bobby right to your house.
Weekday mornings from 6 to 8.
The Fan.
Before you buy a diamond, visit Diamond Seller, because not all jewelers are created equal. Hi, it's Alex Johnson from the Diamond Seller. For over 78 years, we've set the standard for craftsmanship, service, and value. Our in-house jewelers and gemologists work together to ensure every diamond is as brilliant as the person you love. All backed by our guaranteed best price. We don't just sell rings, we build relationships that last generations. So this holiday, before you say yes, make sure it's with the jeweler that's been trusted for over 7 decades. Visit Diamond Seller today.
Hey, what's up? It's T-Bone. The holidays are here, and if you've got a collector in your life, you have to check out Midwest Cards. Thousands of packs and boxes from Pokemon to every sport you can name. It's a full-on collector's dream. Plus, they have signed jerseys and memorabilia that'll make any fan go crazy. The variety is awesome, and the selection legendary. So swing by Midwest Cards today, grab an epic gift or even a gift card, and watch your favorite collector's face light up this holiday season. Get to Midwest Cards today and tell them T-Bone sent you.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
Highs are in the lower to middle 30s here for today, but we are tracking a better chance of rain and snow arriving here for tomorrow with highs in the mid-30s, and we'll catch a break in the activity here for Monday with a little bit more sunshine, partly cloudy and 29 for a high, but we are tracking the return of rain and snow here for Tuesday into Wednesday with highs in the 30s to near 40. And that's a look at your 10 weather impact forecast. I'm meteorologist Aaron White here on 97.1 The Fan.
If you haven't thought about Buckeye football today, I'm sorry to tell you that you're dead. Our condolences. Your home of the Buckeyes, The Fan. The only way to do game day. This is the KeyBank pregame show, getting you ready for all things scarlet and gray. Your home of the Buckeyes, The Fan. The Fan's one tough animal.
All right, welcome back in. This is the KeyBank Fan pregame show. Matty Ice, Justin Zwick, Dane Sanzenbacher getting you ready for Ohio State and Indiana with a Big Ten championship game trophy on the line. Dane, I want you to lead us off this week, my man. Who is your one tough animal?
I couldn't leave the Buckeyes out of this one last week. We tried to spread the love, nationwide, who has noteworthy performances, but that was the biggest game of the year so far, at least for Ohio State. Huge for the program. Try to give it to one person, but I'm going to give it to the Ohio State defense because I already talked a lot about Julian Sayin. I thought he was great. Or I thought we learned a lot that we needed to see from him. But man, to be able to hold Michigan to 2 field goals right off the bat, you put yourself in a really bad situation there. But to have it only be 6-0, save that game, and then to get to the end of halftime, and you're thinking, oh, I don't think Michigan's going to score a touchdown on these guys. The luxury that is to have as a football fan is almost cheating. Like if those guys stay locked, they saved that game for Ohio State. They saved that game by holding them to those field goals and made the rest of it possible. They've done that all year. Yeah. I'm beyond impressed with those guys. It would be too much to pick one of them. I think they work really well together, and you have there's just some killers over there too. I mean, I think you have the luxury of it's a sound defense. But there are some cyborgs. There's some, and those are the guys you want to have on your team. They're this doesn't look right, but that I've not seen a guy play like that. And you could go the Arvell Reese, Sonny Styles, Caleb Downs is one of my favorite football players.
Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year, right. By the way, was named that this week. Caleb was
well deserved. The kid plays different. I don't know how to explain it, but it looks great, and he's been doing it since last year. Mm-hmm. He's a young guy. Yeah.
He's a pro out there right now. Mm-hmm.
He's one of my favorite Buckeyes. Yeah. I think of all time, and I think just having that crew together back there brings such a rock solid foundation for this team. You don't have to run the score up if your other team cannot score.
Real quick, we talked to Tom Luganbill, who does college football for ESPN, when Caleb announced that he was coming to Ohio State. And he mentioned that he had a conversation with Nick Saban about Caleb Downs. And he said he is one of the best defensive players he's ever seen. right? Like the Mika Fitzpatricks of the world, all these guys that Saban
he had
has
a bunch.
coached.
Yeah.
He said that before we even saw him play here. And to your point, he's been as advertised, man. I mean, this
And
guy
he was a
is
freshman when he played there, right?
correct.
Yeah,
So
true
that was
freshman.
a true freshman that year. And Saban had that type of praise for him, just one lap around the track. So again, congrats to Caleb Downs, Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year. You could have given it to Arvell. I don't think anybody would have really pushed back about that. But just to your point, every level right now, there aren't a lot of places you can go to pick on this Buckeye defense, and they've given up, I think less than 9 points per game, like number one in the country. Just everybody's getting their water turned off. So that's a good shout out there.
Yeah, as you're talking about that, I'm sitting here thinking, like, do you think Matt Patricia, when he took that job, Ohio State had just lost their entire defense, was sitting there like, I'm about to turn this into a historically great defense when I get there. Like, think of it. He's coming in on a job where we lost everybody on our defense, except for some key component.
For sure.
But a lot of young guys who maybe weren't, we didn't know. Hey, they could be good, but then he comes in and just does what he does. I think a lot of credit goes towards him as well, just using these guys the way he has.
And I don't think maybe they did, but I would be surprised if they knew they were getting this.
I don't think nobody in Columbus thought our defense is going to go out and be the best defense in the country.
Dane will tell you, I was one of those people that I didn't think they would be a bad defense.
Fair.
But I would have totally understood if they slid back just a hair and you saw some speed bumps along the way, because we saw that with Jim Knowles. I think it was 22 or 23.
Well, that's his job security. He says it takes 3 years for these guys to get my defense. Right. So you got to keep me around for at least 3.
And Patricia's like, no, I'm going to show you how to do it.
Yeah.
But that Michigan game, I think in 2023, when JJ and that crew came down here, all the big plays that they had given up all year, like that was a thing for them. Like, oh, here we go. These chunk plays that offenses are going to be able to get off against Ohio State has not been the case all year.
And I got us off track there. But I was just, as Dane was talking about the defense, I'm like, you wonder just what Patricia thought he was getting himself into and what this defense now looks like. It's just pretty special that they only had him for a spring practice, and then, we look this way. Anyhow,
your one tough fan.
My one tough fan. Well, I'm going to stick in and stay in the Ohio State game as well, just because, when you hold the ball for 40 minutes, that offensive line is doing something correct. And this is the nitpicking that everybody has done all year, the right side of the offensive line. We're 3 games left, and they're talking about, bringing other guys in, and they're rotating, trying to figure things out and what that's going to look like going, into the Michigan game, into the playoffs. And I give my boy flowers, Tiger Shabola, man. I mean, he played every snap in that Michigan game. Pass protection. The offensive line in general was awesome. It's not just one guy, but that's kind of been the spot that everybody's been looking at this year. And to see him on the field that entire game, to see the offense do what they did, the long drives, the just running it down their throat, manhandling that defense, when the last 4 years it really had been flipped on the manhandling. I think that was just huge. And I think that is such a big confidence builder for that offense. It's kind of like last year when we moved Montgomery in and, kind of got things going into the playoffs and it went well. Like, I think they're just going to thrive off that now. And it's like, hey, we did this against the one team we hadn't been able to do this against. Let's just keep this boat rolling. So that offensive line being in a great position and a great mindset with that right side kind of solidified right now. I think that's huge moving forward.
I love that you brought that up, because that's where my mind was when you started talking about it. You think about last year and how critical it was for that unit to get their act in order quickly. When you lose Josh Simmons, who was a first-round pick, you lose your starting center, who won, I think, the Remington Trophy last year.
Right before the Michigan game or something, wasn't it?
And all that. And so they got that in order quick. And then, to your point, had some stuff going on with that right guard position. And it's not a question right now. There's confidence that those guys are going to hold up and do their thing. So it's never the sexiest thing to talk about.
Yeah, but I was an old quarterback, so I love my offensive linemen.
It's so important.
It is.
I talk about it all the time with AR. Like, down there in the trenches, man, like if that's not working,
nothing
Julian,
works.
Jeremiah, Cornell,
Bo,
can't pop
nothing
off.
happens.
Correct.
Exactly.
So it's so important that those guys are doing their thing. I'm going to the SEC for my one tough animal, and I'm going with Trinidad Chambliss, Ole Miss's starting quarterback for now.
For now, I was going to say.
For now. So they had the Egg Bowl last week, rivalry game for them. They handled business, beat Mississippi State 38-19. He was 23 of 34, 359, and 4 touchdowns, no interceptions in the game. I just find him as a very interesting guy right now, because we talked about what Cignetti has been able to do at Indiana, what Pavia has been able to do at Vandy. This could be the guy for Lane Kiffin if he goes to LSU to really have that thing rocking and rolling really, really quickly. And so, look, he got the job, starting quarterback for Ole Miss, got injured. He took advantage of that, and he's been the dude ever since. So just an impressive performance last week but I think he's going to be critical for Lane
Yeah,
Kiffin.
a big game for them
sure.
too, to win that, to kind of solidify the playoffs for him, and not knowing what their coach was going to do at the time. But it's gotten a little messy down there since. But
where do you think that locker room is right now? Like, because you're in the playoff. This is one of the best years the program's ever had. And then you get the rug pulled from under you as a player. Your head coach is gone. Now, some of those guys may be like, all right, I'm going to LSU with him. But currently where their feet are right now, this has to be tough. And the vibes have to be a little funky, don't they?
I would imagine, but I don't know what the modern college football players' mindset is. I don't know where they're at. This would be unthinkable when we were playing.
Yeah.
You are leaving an actual contender for a theoretical contender. Like, you are leaving an actual playoff team for one that you think could be one.
Yeah.
It is, if you're looking at it from like the old school lens, yeah, this would really shutter a locker room and be like, man, what the heck? What was all this? We got these Ole Miss tattoos. Like, this is what we were doing. Now, I think you're right. I think most guys will want to get good tape out there. I think you'll probably have a handful that have their eye on LSU next year anyway. So, I mean, it's tough to bet on a team like that, which is a shame because what a cool story to have Ole Miss in a spot like this. Mm-hmm. And then we can't even get to the end of the season just because how the timelines work out to be able to see it through. Of like, this could have been an all-timer season, and now is not. But I can't even guess what the mindset is.
Yeah, see, I think that's a little interesting.
I think guys are just different.
I think a lot of times, well, and it might just be the new age, but I feel like when coaches get fired, it kind of lights a fire under, like, and now this is different. He left, so it's even a bigger of a fire. But I almost feel like this team's probably like, all right, we're not good enough for you.
Okay, yeah,
we're gonna go show you. And now we have our defense coordinators now, the head coach, and they've kind of solidified what they're doing, at Ole Miss. And I think that's almost like a rallying thing for the team in a way. Now, I'm not saying they're going to go out and win a national championship. I think losing Lane Kiffin could potentially hurt their offense. I don't know about game management. I don't know if he's a big-time game management guy, but
yeah, I don't know. You're right. I don't know how much functionally it does.
So I mean, I think it's for now, anyways. I'm not saying some of these guys won't jump, but for now, I think they're like, all right, we're going to show you.
Yeah, we got
have fun watching us because your team is not in the playoffs right now.
Got a chance to make some noise, so let's just continue it through and run through the tape here. Hey, we're going over to Indy next. The one and only Adam King, the man that sits on the Iron Throne for 10 TV, will join us next. This is the KeyBank Fan Pregame Show right here on The Fan.
Bo Bishop is a media legend. We have no idea where the other guys came from. Bishop and Friends.
Weekdays from 9 to noon.
The Fan.
We're back to football talk, but before we kick off, a quick thanks to Bob and the team at Worthington Jewelers.
Thanks, Common Man. Whether it's game day or every day, we're here to help you celebrate life's biggest moments.
Worthington Jewelers, your hometown jeweler.
What he said.
Hey, Columbus. It's Lorenzo Styles Jr., Ohio State student athlete. It's football season, and just like on the field, success starts with the right game plan and the right team. That's why I'm proud to team up with Monogram Homes. They're the true custom home builder, bringing precision, creativity, and attention to every detail, just like we do on Saturdays. If you're ready to build, don't settle for standard. Go custom. Go Monogram. Visit monogramhomes.net to start building today. Monogram Homes, a builder you can trust.
Ride off, then write off when you take advantage of the year-end tax break offers at Bobcat Enterprises. Right now, Bobcat has 0% financing for 60 months on compact tractors. Use tax code deductions to maximize your reinvestment power and gain a competitive edge for 2026. Plus, you can lease, finance, or directly purchase equipment and still apply for the tax deduction. Stop by Bobcat Enterprises in Hilliard, Reynoldsburg, or Zanesville, or see our full line of products at bobcatent.com today. Offer expires 12/31/25.
Hi, Bob Capace from Worthington Jewelers. Coming up, more football talk on The Fan.
That's right, Bob. And just like our hometown team, Worthington Jewelers is all about tradition, family, and winning moments.
Celebrate your victories with us, your hometown jeweler, Worthington Jewelers.
Always and forever your Ohio State flagship station.
WBNS FM HD1 Columbus.
The Fan, Ohio sports destination. This is The Fan's Game Day Scoreboard.
This game day update is sponsored by Mutual Federal, proudly serving Columbus with personal and business solutions at mutualfederal.com.
Good afternoon. I'm Dylan Gonzalez. The number 1 ranked Ohio State Buckeyes are taking on the number 2 Indiana Hoosiers tonight in the Big Ten Championship game. The Buckeyes are currently a 4-point favorite over the Hoosiers. Kickoff is scheduled at 8 o'clock, and of course, we'll have the game right here on The Fan. Ohio State basketball is in action versus Northwestern over on The Fan 2, with the Buckeyes trailing 61-60 in the second half. Texas Tech is your Big 12 champion this year, beating BYU 34-7. The MAC championship between Miami of Ohio and Western Michigan is in progress, with the Broncos leading the Redhawks 23-13. The SEC championship down in Atlanta between Georgia and Bama is set to kick off at 4 o'clock. Virginia and Duke will kick off for the ACC crown at 8 o'clock in Charlotte. Breaking sports news when it happens right here on The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
The ultimate way to get ready for another Buckeye victory. You're listening to the KeyBank pregame show. Proud to be your flagship home of the Buckeyes, The Fan.
Welcome back in to the KeyBank Fan pregame show. Matty Ice, Dane Sanzenbacher, Justin Swick in for Depot today. Big Ten Championship here in just a few hours over in Indy. We're going to Indy right now and talking to the one and only Adam King, the man that sits on the Iron Throne for 10 TV. AK, happy game day. How we feeling today, big dog?
Happy game day. We're feeling good other than the people in Indianapolis. They struggle to drive. They are not the best of drivers. Everywhere we look, there is construction or a car accident, and we have just sat in traffic at every turn really here. So if you're a Buckeye fan making that drive over on 70, I got bad news for you. It doesn't get any better.
So are you making an excuse right now to your bosses that you're going to be late to do something? Is that what this is? Okay.
No. We leave about 6 hours early for the game to account for the fact that people in Indy are going to delay that for about 3 hours.
So are you in Indy right now, Adam?
Yes.
All right, so you're there. So tell us, give us a little lowdown on what the scenery is. Is there more scarlet and gray, or candy stripes, I guess is what Indiana does?
Let me tell you something. Whatever you wanted to call it, I'll call it scarlet and gray. It may be the same color of crimson that Indiana calls it, but we'll call it scarlet. If they don't have a logo on it, I'm counting it as a Buckeye fan, all right? I'm not yelling OH to determine what category they go in, okay? If that's the case, it's going to be about 80% scarlet in the stands tonight. Otherwise, I will say this is enemy territory. The Hoosiers, they are getting up for this game. They have a basketball game at Gainbridge Fieldhouse going on right now against Louisville. And so all those fans, they are having a beverage or two, maybe a Sunny D, maybe a Diet Coke, and then they're going to head over to Lucas Oil Stadium. So the Buckeyes are treating this as a road game, and I understand because around here this is like the Super Bowl for all these people in coming up from Bloomington.
Adam, talk to us about the actual, I guess, stadium in general. You already talked, okay, we're going to have, obviously there's going to be a ton of Indiana fans there. I don't think enough to make it a true home game. I don't think either one will have a huge advantage of not being able to hear snap count or whatever that may be. But what do you think this looks like? This is a far different matchup than Indiana at Ohio State last year. Do you think that evens the playing field even a little bit more, or we haven't seen Ohio State play in a dome? I don't think, unless I'm wrong. We haven't seen these guys play in these conditions. What do you think the environment is going to have an effect on the game?
I believe the word you're looking for is fast track, and if I'm an English major, that is 2 words. I'm not an English major though. With this stadium, I think it presents a great opportunity for Ohio State. You're right. It's the first time they played inside a dome. They get that chance to go out there, not have to worry about any factor whatsoever when it comes to weather. And I do agree with you. It's going to be different than when Indiana came to the Shoe last season. But I don't know that it's going to look that different on the field. I just still – last year they came in as a top 5 team, and it was a very similar talk to the game. And so I think this Indiana team is better, yes, but I think there's an argument to be made that this Buckeye team is better when it comes to defense and the offense. If they can really start going with Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith back in the lineup here for the second straight game, Bo Jackson looks good. I don't know. This is probably the most confident I have ever been in Ohio State 1 versus 2 matchup, which is a very specific air of games.
Adam King from 10 TV joining us here on the KeyBank Fan pregame show. AK, you mentioned the lack of weather, obviously, with there being a dome over top the building today. Let's go back to last week, though, because you were in Ann Arbor, and that looked like a movie when the snow started to come down from the sky, and you had those 2 uniforms down there on the field in one of the most popular venues in the sport. Just take us inside what that day was like, what that experience was like for you, and just being around the guys pregame and postgame.
Well, I think it was really cool pregame because it was kind of split between half the guys that said, we're going to treat this like any other game. This is a business trip, but we're going to fuel the anger from the last 4 years. And then there was another half of the guys that were like, yeah, we hate these guys. We hate this place. We want to go in and channel that. But they played for the love of their brothers, not the hate of the opponent. And somebody, I don't want to take credit for it because I can't remember. I think it was one of my buddies texted me and said, Ryan Day has found his kind of path through this rivalry. Urban leaned on hating those guys across the sideline. Ryan obviously understands how much Central Ohio doesn't like Michigan, but he's also kind of channels, hey, we're going to go out there and play for the love of our brothers. And you really, really saw that all the way down to not planting the flag. It was never about the maize and blue last week, all the way until they got back to the locker room. It was about, look at us, look at what we just did. Let's celebrate us.
Yeah, last time I talked to you, you and Nicole were getting snowed on, and I was doing wall-to-wall last Saturday. It looked miserable up there. You won't have that tonight. It's been kind of a crazy week. On Wednesday, we heard that our offense coordinator is leaving for a head coaching job. You've been around the week. I'm sure, I don't know if you've talked to Brian at all or if they've allowed that, but, going into this game, he's the head coach of Southern Florida. Does that alter this week at all as far as this game plan is concerned? Has Ryan talked about or mentioned anything about, maybe overseeing that call playing a little bit more going into this game or into the playoffs?
I think it's really interesting, and it's a conversation we might have after this game, but that 3-week break may be incredibly beneficial for the Buckeyes in this transition with Brian Hartline, because if they were having to get ready for another game in what would be, I think, 10 days or whatever, that doesn't allow Hartline to get kind of his ducks in a row with South Florida while also still managing Ohio State. He's got a couple days here with this bye, which win or lose, Ohio State's getting a bye. He's got a couple days where he can kind of focus in and say, okay, I need to get all this figured out with my new job because I need to be fully on the Buckeyes when it comes to time that we're headed out to the Rose Bowl. I think Ryan Day has been very involved in the play calling all season long. I don't think that's a surprise to anybody. I did ask him when they got off the bus last night, and it was almost wanted to give him a round of applause. This might be the most impressive coaching week of Ryan Day's career at Ohio State. Not only has he dealt with the Brian Hartline news, he had to handle what was signing day in its own right, and signing day extended 2 days for him with Chris Henry Jr. and dealing with all that. Meanwhile, he's trying to prepare for the number 2 team in the country. He said that it was his job this week to make sure that none of his assistant coaches were distracted, that he took care of all the big stuff with it, that, the overarching stuff. And I feel like he handled it well because Chris Henry Jr. is a Buckeye, and it seems like Brian Hartline is going to play this thing out and give everything to the program before he heads down south.
Yeah, Adam, I think I'm just following up quick. I guess it's more of a comment than anything on the
You can take your time. It doesn't have to be quick.
Oh, so how are you?
Good. I'm good. How are you, Dane?
Good. Your comment about I hadn't heard that kind of take on Michigan. I think it's a really good one, the mindset of Ryan Day. And just as if I'm taking off my player hat or just as really both, the visual of Michigan guarding an M that nobody's even trying to get to is one of my favorite things that happened in that game. Because I was so the post game, all that was just such a mess last year that, I was not even proud of that. I mean, it's just this is just ugly. This is ugly for the sport. It makes no schools look good. But that was just such a oh, okay, yeah, you can guard that. That's cool. We're going to go over here with our fans like we do every year, and we're going to get the heck out of here. I thought that was awesome. So I appreciate you bringing that up. I guess back to, Brian Hartline, but more specifically his current wide receiver room. What's the health looking like on these guys? I know they were so coming into the Michigan game. Guys played. There was still talk of some tweaks. Are we going to get Jeremiah and Carnell kind of full go?
Oh, they're fine. They're absolutely fine. I mean, everybody has little struggles late in the season. Obviously, theirs were a little more, bigger, dealing with all that stuff. But they will be full go today for the Buckeyes. There is no worry about that with those guys. Really, the crazy part is when they went out for Michigan warm-ups. I mean, obviously, the first thing you do is, all right, let's see this thing, because the last time I saw them, they're limping around against UCLA, and they looked fine then. Clearly, they didn't have any struggles in the game, so now it's just another week to get healthy. I do wonder, practice-wise, and I don't think we have an answer to this, if they were full go in practice this week. I don't think that's necessary, especially the position that they play. We know how good they are. I don't know that an extra rep on a Wednesday of the Big Ten Championship is going to determine whether you win or lose the game or drop the pass or catch it. So I think they'll be good to go. I think this Buckeye team's looking fairly good to go. A good time of year to get healthy.
AK, the Big Ten threw out all their awards this week, and a lot of Buckeyes brought some of those home. I want to ask you this, though. A guy for you, AK, that maybe didn't get, one of the awards, maybe isn't a headliner for, as far as a marquee name around the sport, but a dude you looked at all year that doesn't get the recognition that he may deserve, that you've been impressed with his play this year. Who's that guy for you?
It's funny because if you had asked me this question last week, I would have told you Caden McDonald. And the fact that the Big Ten gave him that award was amazing, because I was missing the train on the people that were celebrating Caden, but he's been my guy all year, riding the bus with him and talking about how good he is, and to see him get that award was awesome. But everybody wants to talk about Caleb Downs, but I'd like to talk about number 18 in that safety room. He is massive for this team. He makes unbelievable plays, and he gets to learn from Caleb Downs, and now he's really starting to take on a role of himself. He made 3 plays in that Michigan game that were really touchdown-saving plays. So he's a guy that doesn't get enough talk about on that defense, but there are a lot of guys. Let's take a look at Caden Curry. He didn't get an individual award with the 3 that get handed out. He wasn't lineman of the year, but he's still unbelievable. There's so many guys in that defense. There's a real world where this is the greatest defense in Ohio State history at the end of this season.
Yeah, we haven't mentioned Sonny Styles yet. There's so many of them over there. You're right.
He didn't even get it.
It's an embarrassment of riches.
Good point.
Yeah, no doubt. Keeping it on the award train, a lot of talk of this game being the game that's going to finalize the Heisman. What do you see going into this? Do you think whoever has the better game tonight, whatever team wins, that guy wins the Heisman? Where do you sit there?
Let me tell you, got a guy named Diego Pavia. No, I'm just kidding. Absolutely.
I was going to say, come on, Adam.
The winner of this game is going to win the Heisman. It would take something pretty impressive from the losing quarterback. I do feel like there are people that have already filled out their Heisman ballots, which I think is so wrong. Mm-hmm. But that exists out there. So I think Fernando Mendoza probably has a lead right now in the clubhouse. But today could change everything with that. I guess it's not a lead in the clubhouse because they're not in the clubhouse yet. Today determines that. So he's got a lead, but we'll see where it is at the end of the day. I think if Julian Sayin comes out here and plays like he has all year, and Fernando Mendoza hasn't seen a defense like this all year, so I think it'll really tell everybody what they need to know heading into this game.
Hey, Adam, just so you know, TLC is not here today, so you're going to make it through scot-free with this segment without getting that fish audio. So it's a good day for you. The people aren't going to get to enjoy.
Are DeVere and TLC, like, what are they? I didn't know we could take TPL on the biggest Saturday.
We're talking like Left Eye TLC?
They might be there. I don't know where they are, but they didn't show up today. So it's a win for you. No, Adam got hit with
that can't happen.
Got hit in the chest with a fish in Seattle. He tried to catch one, and it destroyed his suit. And the audio is among the funniest things that we have at the station.
Check that out. Yes.
Yeah, we'll get it to you.
We're going to find that for Justin. Hey, AK, before we let you go, let the folks know where they can follow you throughout the day for Buckeye coverage.
Well, I've got you covered. First of all, I've got the score 42-20. I think this Buckeye team kind of dominates this game. It may be close there in the first quarter, but I think this offense gets rolling. Best performance of the season by the offense is what I'm thinking here. And then right after the clock hits 0, you want to flip that TV over. You want to flip it to 10 TV because we're going to have endless coverage. Until everybody leaves Lucas Oil, we're going to be live on the field interviewing players, coaches, everybody we can find. Doesn't matter who they are. If they played in the game, we'll talk to a fan. I don't care. We're going to have that covered for you on 10 TV all the way through the night. We'll go off air when Dom Tiberi says he's ready to go home, and they turn the lights out on Lucas Oil. So if you want the best post-game coverage, make sure that you flip over to 10 TV right after the game.
There he is. AK, safe travels getting back, man. Enjoy the game, and we'll talk to you soon. Appreciate you, big dog.
Sounds good. Appreciate you guys. Enjoy the game. And Dane, I hope you're having a great day.
Thanks, Adam.
There he goes, Adam King from 10 TV. Coming up next, it's our Behind Enemy Line segment. AR and I got a chance to catch up with Zach Osterman, who covers Indiana for the Indy Star. You will hear his breakdown of the Hoosiers next. This is the KeyBank Fan pregame show right here on The Fan.
During this 10-second promo, Rothman will lose money gambling on something.
People like you come here and blow the family nest egg that built this town.
Rothman and Ice.
Weekdays from noon to 3.
The Fan.
Toyotathon is on, and there's no better way to get in the spirit of the season than with a new Toyota. Now through January 5th, get 2.99 APR financing on remaining new 25 Tacomas. Excludes TRD Pro and Trail Hunter. Or lease a well-equipped 25 Tacoma SR5 for $259 a month, or 39 months with $39.99 due at signing. With approved credit through TFS, tax, title, and license extra. Call 1-888-36-TOYOTA for details or go to Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Common Man and Timmy.
Is there anything better than a healthy scratch? When you've got a back itch and your spouse goes to town on that thing, is there anything better?
Common Man and Timmy, afternoons on The Fan. It's sponsored by the Hinderer Motor Company.
Hi, I'm Laura De Leon, president of Key Bank in Central Ohio. At Key, we're all about helping our neighbors. As your bank, we understand that we have both the ability and the responsibility to help our neighbors thrive. Whether they're trying to buy a car to take them to their new job, or tackle debt that feels unmanageable, or simply trying to do more with what they have, Key Bank is there to meet them in that moment. Key Bank opens doors.
All credit products are subject to credit approval. Key Bank, member FDIC.
They're trained. They're fired up.
Let's do it.
When you need heat, they can't be beat. They're Ohio State's undefeated heating and cooling team. For plumbing, drain, heating, and cooling, there's only one team. The Waterworks. Better care, better value, better results. Call the Waterworks at 614-232-2222 or visit them online at thewaterworks.com. A proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Enjoy all the football this weekend, but remember to join us for Reaction Monday.
Sponsored by the Roofing Guys.
The Fan. You're listening to the KeyBank pregame show. The only way to get ready for a Buckeye game. Your home for Ohio State athletics. The Fan. The Fan's Behind Enemy Lines.
Sponsored by your Central Ohio Ford dealers.
All right, welcome back in. Behind Enemy Lines this week. AR and I on Rothman and Ice yesterday caught up with Zach Osterman from the Indy Star. Full breakdown of Kirk Cignetti and his crew. Here it is.
Zach, biggest game that you have ever covered in kind of when you think about Indiana?
Yeah, probably. I mean, it's probably either that or the playoff game last year. And, you know, I mean, I guess pick your poison on what's more important, because I recognize that neither of these teams is going to lose a whole heck of a lot in all likelihood, in terms of sort of long-term outcomes this weekend. But Indiana hasn't won a Big Ten championship, they haven't won a Big Ten championship since 1967. They've never been number one in the country. So, certainly in terms of what there is to gain for Indiana, it's probably at the top of the list.
So let's lock in on some of the guys we're going to see in action and some of the guys we've been watching all year. We got to start with Fernando Mendoza. An absolutely incredible year, but just covering this guy all the time, watching him come in from Cal and do the things that he's done. Zach, just talk about his development throughout the year and how he's gotten to be the Heisman leader right now, according to Vegas.
Yeah, So as you talk about, he came in from Cal. Obviously, his brother was already here. His younger brother, Alberto's a redshirt freshman, and it's his backup. And I think at times people have seen Alberto doing things in the fourth quarter of blowouts, thinking Indiana was padding Fernando's stats. But I think the thing that has elevated, and this is no knock on Curtis Rourke. I mean, it's hard to kind of have this conversation without feeling like you are somehow criticizing Curtis Rourke, and that's not really what it is. Number one, Mendoza's a lot more mobile. Now, we didn't know until after last season was over that Rourke had been playing on the torn ACL. But I think Mendoza, both in the pocket in terms of maybe, shifting away from the pass rush, moving the pocket, throwing on the run, and then also when things open up for him, just tucking the ball and getting downfield, Mendoza's a lot more mobile. I think he's got, better sort of downfield accuracy. He is just, I don't mean to oversimplify it, but it is kind of the difference between a 7th-round pick and a 1st-round pick. They're both really good college quarterbacks. And there was probably, in fairness, a little bit more of a little bit higher of a floor of a consistency with Rourke. That what he did really well. And obviously he was a 6th-year player, so there was just so much time on task, so much experience and repetition. But I think Mendoza certainly has the higher ceiling in terms of some of the throws he can make, some of the plays he can make. I know the numbers, and there probably are a handful of different reasons for this, both literal and philosophical. The numbers, like a lot of other Heisman candidates, aren't quite maybe what we've come to expect from Heisman Trophy winners in sort of the recent past. But if you watch him play, the plays that he makes and some of the stuff that he makes, just kind of look effortless throwing the football, it's not hard to understand why he's had the season he's had and why he's, garnering both the award attention and also draft attention that he is.
All right, Zach, let me get to the game in the game that I think really is going to be the difference maker. And that's if the Indiana defensive backs and secondary can hold up for 4 quarters against Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate and Max Clare, and especially Julian Sain. So they did a really good job against Altmaier this year in Illinois, Dante Moore of Oregon. Those guys didn't light them up. In fact, they were both under 200, and Altmaier was well under 200. But Grunkmeyer was over 200, and Aiden Childs was in the mid-200s. Your confidence in this Indiana secondary to match up against Julian Sain and what Ohio State's bringing to the table tomorrow night?
I think a lot of it, for me, comes down to Indiana likes to play D'Angelo Pons in man coverage wherever he is. Not all the time, but fairly consistently. Pons gets to play press man coverage. They don't necessarily chase one matchup with him. Like they're not going to run him all over the field just trying to find Jeremiah Smith every single down. If he's lined up against Carnell Tate, they'll live with that. If he's lined up against Ennis, they'll live with that. But what makes their defense work is that they can trust him to just win his one-on-one matchup so consistently that they're able to kind of put everybody else into some really sort of multiple, creative, well-disguised zones. They'll play a little bit of everything. Other than, I guess, maybe cover 1, but they'll play 2, they'll play 3, they'll play 6, they'll play 9. And they can do that. And these two things, of course, dovetail, pretty directly. They can do that because they tend to be able to generate a pass rush with just 4, maybe 5. And so when Pons is consistently winning his one-on-one matchup and they are generating some pressure, maybe bringing just 4, maybe 1 extra sometimes, that allows them to just sort of build these really clever, creative zone looks that just really throw quarterbacks off and confuse quarterbacks because they're really good at disguising certain stuff. They are really good at, I think they're second in the conference behind Maryland in team interceptions this season. They are really good at reading both pre and post snap what an offense is trying to do, what a quarterback's trying to do. And if that pressure gets home, because that, you mentioned the quarterbacks that have not had success with them. They sacked Altmaier 5 or 6 times. They sacked Dante Moore 6 times. And that is kind of the constant, is if they can get that pressure home without having to add extra bodies in the pass rush, and Pons can go win his one-on-one matchup on the outside, which he's been consistently able to do this season, then they are able to be really creative with the other 6 players on the field in coverage. And it's what has, sort of created a lot of these big plays and a lot of these just sort of, frankly, very bland afternoons from opposing quarterbacks.
All right, let's flip it to the other side for Indiana and lock in on their wide receiver duo and Omar Cooper Jr. and Elijah Surratt, and just talk to us about how those guys mesh together well and just the roles they have within this offense right now.
So Surratt is healthy. He missed what would it have been, about 3 games with some kind of like hamstring, and then there was something else that Curt Cignetti never really sort of elaborated on. He was back for the Purdue game. He looked fine. Indiana didn't throw it a ton in that game because it was freezing cold, and frankly, they didn't need to anyway. Surratt is the better sort of pure possession wide receiver. He is the player that Mendoza will go to, for just kind of that easy timing completion. He gets Mendoza's first target of the game a lot, not always, but a lot. He's incredibly crisp with his routes. He's exceptionally difficult to cover one-on-one because he's really good high pointing the ball. He's got great hands. Cooper is maybe a little bit more mercurial in terms of his week-to-week production. But when he's on, he's the more explosive player. He's also the shiftier player. I think he's broken something like 25 tackles this season. I forget what the exact number is. But he's got a lot of catch and run in. Surratt does too if you kind of just get him in open space, like the touchdown that people may have seen him score against Iowa, where he just slips underneath the defender in single coverage and breaks free. But Cooper's got shiftiness. He's better in like Mendoza had a touchdown pass against Purdue that he badly underthrew. Cooper came back for it, caught it, and then dropped 2 different defensive backs to sort of break away to the end zone. And it's also worth pointing out, Cooper plays in the slot most of the time. We don't know if E.J. Williams will be healthy. He's their second boundary receiver, really big-bodied guy. Was at Clemson, transferred to Indiana a couple years ago. This is the best season of his career. He sat out the Purdue game. I mean, he is I'm not damning him with faint praise because he's a very good third receiver. Like he just, he doesn't drop the ball. He runs good routes. He's tough along the sideline. And if you leave him in single coverage, he's 6'4". He's got a size advantage that the other two don't have. So Mendoza will use him when he needs to. I think it was Wisconsin maybe that doubled both Cooper and Surratt, or they doubled Cooper and Surratt was injured actually, and E.J. Williams went for like 105 yards and a touchdown. So he is capable as well. And I think what makes that trio work is they're all something a little bit different as wide receivers, and that gives Indiana a lot of flexibility in the way they use those guys.
Well, they've certainly lit up the highlight screen this year in some big moments, and maybe there'll be some more and some fireworks in Indy Saturday night. Zach, great job, bud. Thanks for the breakdown, and enjoy it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Behind Enemy Lines is sponsored by your Central Ohio Ford dealers. Visit Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. Coming up top of the hour, who's got the heat? We're going to apply some pressure to somebody around college football and the world of sports, and we'll get right back into Ohio State and Indiana. This is the KeyBank Fan Pregame Show right here on The Fan.
All the Ohio State conversation you can handle. The Buckeye Show.
Weeknights at 6.
Your Ohio State flagship station. The Fan.
Drive through football season with style, comfort, and confidence. AR here and my friend Rich Newsom and his team at Germain Honda of Dublin have more than 500 new and pre-owned cars to choose from. And the best service team in town on Sawmill Road, just south of 270, and GermainHondaofDublin.com.
Hey, Columbus. It's Lorenzo Styles Jr., Ohio State student athlete. Football runs deep in my family. My dad played here, and now my brother and I are proud to carry on that tradition. At Monogram Homes, family matters too. They treat every homeowner like one of their own, building with care, precision, and pride. Monogram doesn't just build houses, they build homes, crafted just for you. So whether you're starting your first home or designing your dream space, Monogram Homes has got your back every step of the way. Visit monogramhomes.net to start building today. Monogram Homes, a builder you can trust.
Score big this season with an MVP package from Lennox and Northland Heating and Cooling. Find out how much you can save on energy bills with a brand new 80% or high efficiency system. Right now, the championship package features a Lennox full system furnace and AC as low as $86.20. Call today for your free estimate and special savings on the championship package, or visit HVACNorthland.com. That's Northland Heating and Cooling, your local Lennox premier dealer.
Drive through football season with style, comfort, and confidence. AR here and my friend Rich Newsom and his team at Germain Honda of Dublin have more than 500 new and pre-owned cars to choose from. And the best service team in town on Sawmill Road, just south of 270, and GermainHondaofDublin.com.
Are you ready to love your home again? Closets by Design wants you to imagine a beautifully organized custom closet, home office, garage, and more. Turn any crowded space into what might become your favorite room in the house. Right now, Closets by Design is offering 40% off, plus an extra 15% off and free installation. Call 800-BY-DESIGN or visit closetsbydesign.com for a free in-home consultation today. Get organized with 40% off plus 15% off and free installation at closetsbydesign.com.
Attack and dominate. Morning Juice is on YouTube and 10 TV Plus.
Sponsored by Riverside Bank of Dublin.
Join Bobby Carpenter and Tito weekdays starting at 6 or watch on demand. More Bobby, less commercials. The Fan. Broadcasting from the Lindsay Honda Studios.
Honda makes the cars. Lindsay makes the difference. Visit lindsayhonda.com.
WBNS-FM, HD1 Columbus. This is the Fan's Game Day Scoreboard.
This game day update is sponsored by Mutual Federal, proudly serving Columbus with personal and business solutions at mutualfederal.com.
Good afternoon. I'm Dylan Gonzalez. For the first time in the conference's history, the Big Ten Championship will be a matchup of the top two teams in the country when Ohio State takes on Indiana tonight in Indy. Keep it right here for coverage leading up to the game and kickoff at 8 o'clock. Ohio State basketball is in action versus Northwestern over on the Fan 2 with the Buckeyes leading 75-70 late in the second half. Texas Tech is your Big 12 champion this year, beating BYU 34-7. Western Michigan is your MAC champion. They defeated Miami of Ohio 23-13 up in Detroit. The SEC championship game down in Atlanta between Georgia and Alabama is set to kick off here shortly, while Virginia and Duke will kick off for the ACC crown at 8 o'clock in Charlotte. Breaking sports news when it happens right here on The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
The only way to do game day. This is the KeyBank pregame show, getting you ready for all things Scarlet and Gray. Your home of the Buckeyes, The Fan. As you prepare for another Buckeye football Saturday, one very important question remains. Who's got the heat?
Sponsored by Buckeye Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing since 1948.
All right, welcome back in. Getting you ready for Ohio State and Indiana. Matty Ice, Justin Zwick, Dane Sanzenbacher. Dane, why don't you lead us off this week, my guy? Who you putting some heat on?
We're up to that weekend annually to there is a most hated group of people, more than referees probably have a higher approval rating than this group of people. They're always under the lamp. They're getting grilled. It's the CFP committee, because after this weekend's games, it's their time to quote unquote shine. It without fails brings nothing but head scratching and how'd you land on that and what are we doing here? Somebody's mad anyway. You could expand this thing to 25. Somebody's going to be mad. So there's heat on these guys. I don't know. We'll have to see how the rest of the games today shake out. Already things have shaken out that okay, how are you going to let these guys in over these guys? The best part, Maddie, is when they explain it, though.
Listen, man.
I mean, if anybody was unless they like this part of it, unless it's lucrative to have the argument, why don't they just say, guys, make your decisions. You're Oz, okay? You live behind the curtain. Nobody sees you. You make the decisions. Don't answer for them. Because the more you talk, the more you're making everybody mad.
The more confusing it gets for everybody. Huge sigh of relief in that committee room today that BYU did not win that game. Because if BYU would have been the Big 12 champ, that would have made things very messy for them. The Notre Dame-Miami thing is going to be crazy. Miami fans already have their pitchforks out because they're anticipating they're going to take Notre Dame to the playoff. Miami side of things is the team that you're going to put above us, we beat them. Now, the committee is going to tell probably them that we respect Texas A&M, and that's one of their losses. We also respect what Notre Dame has done down the stretch because they've been curb stomping a lot of teams coming down to the bad teams, and that's fair to bring up as well. And so the problem with this, and there's a lot of problems for people, is that while we can sit here and recognize, Notre Dame really haven't beat up on really anybody good down the stretch, they can say to us, we like their control of the games. We like how dominant they've been and how the scoreboard has looked.
Yeah, they can just say whatever they want.
Anything they want. And they can say, Miami, those two losses you got, man.
You know what they won't say? We like their alumni support and all the money that comes with putting them in.
They won't admit that. So all of this is an inexact science on their side of things. It's odd to me, fellas, that you have active ADs that are on the committee. Am I supposed to really sit here and believe that these ADs that have so much to do throughout the week are grinding tape on BYU and Texas Tech?
Well, they're not going to have any bias towards their program, their conference, somebody they know.
All of that. So, I love that you did this.
I hear that you guys like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Because I just
whole segment's just about them. Put them on the heater.
They're
fire.
heating up right now.
Because imagine how you would feel if you're a Miami player. right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There's that. You said many flaws, right? One of the obvious flaws is that you told us we're creating this playoff system because there's this demand to be able to see people prove it on the field.
Head-to-head matters.
But you're bypassing that. If this team already proved it on the field against this team, then what else do you need to see? Well, they have all these. Okay, as soon as you break that one, then on the field doesn't matter. You just are trying to get the most currently talented teams into the playoff. And then what does that give us? I don't know where it leaves us.
Think about what they did to Florida State either last year or the year before, where Jordan Travis, their starting quarterback, got injured. That team, I believe, was undefeated going into championship weekend. And maybe even, I don't think they won the ACC or not. I can't remember. But
I think they may have won, but the quarterback looked really suspect.
Rough.
Yes.
Their stance was, well, we don't think that you guys can go out there and be who you've been all year. Now, to their point, they were probably proven right. But at the time, if I'm a Florida State fan or player, I'm not trying to hear that. We earned the right to get into the playoff based off our body of work, and an injury is going to keep us out. So, yeah, they can move the goalpost every single week and do whatever they want to do.
I told you guys, it's heat.
Who's got the heat? Who's got the heat is brought to you by Buckeye Heating and Cooling and Plumbing since 1948. Justin, who you put some heat on?
He put the heat on himself, but I don't think anybody in college football had more heat than Lane Kiffin this week.
Oh, what happened?
Well, he just went ahead and won the Egg Bowl and put his team in the playoffs and said, peace, I'm out. Going to a rival in the same conference. That's just pretty wild to do something like that, and just to have the week and how everything goes. And with Lane, everything just seems so quirky and different, and whatever. I think he may have went to a hot yoga class at LSU before he did his press conference. I mean, the guy just does his own thing. He's a different cat, but that was. They had Marty Smith hanging out there for 24 hours, I think, trying to get that interview on what he was going to do. Right. And, then they has people chasing him down to the airport. Like, just so much drama around it. He better go out and do something when he's at LSU, or they're going to never let him forget about it.
It is such an interesting story, too. Though.
It is.
I mean, there's some really good articles about it, too, that give a little background and talk about, like, what went into this situation. But when I'm looking at this through the eyes of where we're at in college football, it is like the stated goal of college coaches used to be like win a national championship. That's what you would want. You're walking away from, and he had some decent points on why you're doing it. So I don't all the way fault Lane, but you're walking away from on the doorstep of a national championship to a potential.
You're 4 games away.
You're giving away the bird in the hand for like maybe a couple in the bush. So what if you win 2 with LSU? Then it was a good deal. If you win 1, well, you could have won 1 with Ole Miss. I just don't know what they're shooting for. Maybe it's just he's just a greener pastures guy. He's not meant to be locked down anywhere, which by all accounts, that's probably him.
If you believe him, he wanted to see it through and coach with his guys. So on the other side, the AD, all the decision makers, their story is, hey, we don't want you around. You want to leave? Go on and do your thing. And so it's a he said thing down there. So it's all messy.
But leaving to where he went are 2 different things, in my opinion.
And
right?
I'm glad that you brought that up, because you know how the Big Ten reset with adding UCLA and USC, and now the schedule, you're not going to see certain teams every single year. With the way the SEC is set up, for LSU, they're going to see Ole Miss every year. Every year. So that's not like
he's got to go back to Ole Miss next year.
He can't duck them. So that environment is going to be absolutely insane.
Yeah, the heat's going to be on for a while.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I'm going with a head coach as well. I'm going with Matt Campbell. If you missed the news, Matt Campbell is the new head coach for Penn State. This guy's been around at Iowa State for a while. He seemed like an Iowa State lifer to me. And I was just shocked, right? Because he just signed an extension in the summer for Iowa State. And so this guy, I thought, brought some good structure there. But the reason why I'm putting some heat on him now is because I just think in the minds of Penn State fans, there's a certain bar that he better get to and maybe even get over in the near future for him, right? Because they were disappointed, obviously, with Franklin, how that fizzled out, and just the losses that they had coming out of, I think it was UCLA and then Northwestern, those games. It was a dog pile of just crap on Franklin in the program at the time. But they can never get past Ohio State and the big dogs, and this was supposed to be their team. Remember, we talked about this this roster construction for them this year. Penn State was the vet team that had the quarterback, and now you got the new shiny toy at DC with Jim Knowles and stealing him from Ohio State, and it just fell flat. So I just think Matt Campbell in time will be, and he is a good coach, but I think he will be a good coach for them. But I just think early on, there's some heat on him because people are going to expect him to kind of continue that momentum James Franklin built and maybe even go beyond what he did.
Penn State sent the message when firing James Franklin that this is not good enough, and it's a really tough not good enough. I mean, this was a playoff team last year.
Double-digit wins for how many years?
Yeah.
Not good enough.
What were they, preseason number 1 or 2?
Right up there. They were right up there.
Preseason
this was their year.
Top 3. Now, you slip a little bit, but the program was built to that point.
Yeah.
So you fire this guy, it's saying like, okay, here you're pushing your chips in saying, here's where we are expecting you to be.
Mm-hmm.
That's a heavy...
Big shoes to fill.
That's big shoes to
I
fill.
thought there for a while, maybe they overplayed their hand a little bit because like they're the last one to hire a coach out of all the firings, right? So it's like, who are they going to get? And then, I mean, they pulled a good one. Don't get me wrong, but
yeah, my feeling though is they might have stumbled into one here though, because Matt Campbell was not 5 years ago. He's on every time there was a spot that came up.
Every time, yep.
It was Matt Campbell.
He was the guy.
It was Matt Campbell. And I forgot about him. I'm like, man, why isn't he on any of these radars anyway? And I think he was.
When Ohio State was moving over to Ryan Day, I think Matt Campbell's name popped up a little bit. Yeah.
Yep.
And shout out Toledo Rocket.
That's right. That's where he started. Right?
Glass bowl up there.
There you go. Oh yeah. Started to cut his teeth in Toledo. Same, me and you, Matt. But yeah, like I think if you could have picked one, if you can that's a guy that I really like that hire.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even think they meant to. Usually if you fire James Franklin, you have one in.
They fell into that one.
If it's my program, I trust that more than Lane's stability.
You know what I saw? I saw the AD
at least for Penn State. For Penn State, the DNA of that program, he's an outstanding.
Well, and the AD at Iowa State came out and was like, we love everything this guy did here. He left this place in such a bed. Like, it was all complimentary. It wasn't anything about, it's just like he built this place more than we ever dreamed he could have.
10
just very
seasons.
happy that, for what he did there.
Yeah.
So that tells you what kind of guy you're getting, what kind of program you're getting. I mean, it could be really good for him.
Good for Penn State.
Yeah.
That's a heck of a hire.
I agree.
8 winning seasons at Iowa State. You're doing something in the Big 12, 3-time Big 12 Coach of the Year. Since we're there talking about coaching, I want to ask you guys about Heartline now, because that was obviously a big deal that kicked off the week, and that kind of spilled into the recruiting world with the whole Chris Henry Jr. saga that was going on. That dust is now settled. He's a Buckeye. But just for Heartline and the impact of the program now moving forward, what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's going to be tough for him. On the Buckeye Show Wednesday night, we had Joshua Perry on, and he had been kind of through it with Tom Herman when he went to Houston, I believe. That's where Tom went when he left here. So he saw Tom kind of do his thing throughout the bowl season. I guess back then it wasn't the playoffs, so maybe some more time for him to get things settled. But it's going to be hard. You're all in on 2 things right now, and that's really tough to do. And Brian has a lot of things down in South Florida. You got to get staff, you got your support staff, your coaches, recruiting, all of that stuff. Doing that while you're game planning for a different team each week here throughout this playoffs, it's going to be a lot on his plate. But he's one of those guys. He wants to see this through. He brought these guys into, his recruits, his receiver room. He brought them in, and he wants to see them off correctly. And, and I think his school that he's going to is like, go try and win another national championship, because now we have a 2-time national championship coach coming down to be our head coach. And so I think they're very supportive of it, but just a lot on your plate, going into this Big Ten championship. And then there will be that week, Adam was talking about, the week, maybe 2 weeks we would have off kind of, at least downtime where we're not playing somebody, getting ready to right away. So that might be a time for him to, really dig in on that. But then once it's game week, it's game week. He's going to be all in.
Yeah, I think as far as losing him, this is about as good as it could go. Mm-hmm. I mean, you knew at some point he was going to take a leap. At least I thought at some point he's going to take his shot. Yeah. He's going to have to. I think the Ohio State part of me is like, man, I'm worried that this is going to be a distraction for this team, because it is all those things. These games just become higher and higher stress. Then take that focus. So like any little bit you give away, this isn't really a veteran team. This is a relatively young team that needs that TLC, not a distraction. The other side of it for Heartline personally, one, sticking around. I do think we're in a good place that he is a Buckeye himself. I still think that means something. This is his home. This is his place. And I don't think he's a guy that's not going to want to get this done at Ohio State. 2, I think it's a really good fit for him. I think this is one of those jobs. There's some that like he had been rumored for, that
Penn
maybe
State was one of them.
interviewed for.
Yeah.
that I'm just like, I just think it seems like a place he can succeed. Yeah. And if his goal, and it clearly is, if you're leaving Ohio State to go this your own, as a head coach, your goal, you want to start climbing the ladder and do your own thing. You want to be the head man somewhere. There's a lot of talent down there. Mm-hmm. He knows Florida pretty well. He's lived down there for years. Absolutely. He recruits it well. Yeah. It's a really good personal fit for him. So, I mean, I'm happy for him from that perspective. Yeah. Perfect world. We cap off this season. We give him high fives and good luck.
And I'll say one thing about that. I was worried, but when Chris Henry signs still, I think that shows all other 5-star receivers, Ohio State's still a place to be. Sure. You know, well, like Heartline is Heartline, but
he created something that's going to be tough for him to recruit against too. At Ohio State.
Yes, for sure.
And so I think it speaks to, hey, Ryan Day is still a dude, man.
Yeah, they're still going to be playing for national championships year after year. We're going to have the best talent. Like, you still want to go be a part of that, even though you're not maybe getting that great coaching. You're still going to get really good coaching because Ryan Day doesn't seem to miss when he brings in new coaches.
You're Chris Henry. You're looking at to next year's team. There's opportunity
Jeremiah
for you to
Smith,
come
Julian Sain,
there it is.
Get out of here.
There it is, right? And so, I think if you're a Buckeye fan too, you have to have comfort in knowing that Coach Day is going to figure this out at that position. Look what he's done the last 2 years.
Every hire.
Bill O'Brien, hey, I'm going to take a head coaching job at Boston College. Let me hit up Chip Kelly. He comes in. He's a part of a national championship team. This year, you lose Jim Knowles. He goes to a rival in the division. No worries. I've got a guy in Matt Patricia I can bring in, and look how stout the defense has been. And so, for Chris Henry, I can totally understand why you have to zoom out for a second and say, well, wait a minute. This guy left. He's the guy I'm going to work with a lot, probably obviously every single day. Let me recalibrate for just a little bit. And so I just think, man, that was a crazy window of time for Buckeye fans, right? Because that is a sexy position to watch week in and week out. And it's been a machine year in and year out, and it's transferring into the NFL. So you don't want to lose that as a Buckeye fan. But I think to your point,
they're going to fill it. I'm sorry if I missed that.
No, we haven't seen anything about that.
But I think
so there's still a chance. So I should put a resume in.
Yes.
There you go.
So you're telling me there's a chance.
I have to imagine that maybe that was part of the conversation with Chris Henry from Coach Day.
Exactly what I was thinking.
Oh, I'm sure.
Don't let this out.
Don't let us out.
This is the guy.
We got you.
This is the guy.
But getting him, if we would have lost him, then all we would have heard was, they're not going to get the receivers anymore. Their Heartline's gone, blah, blah, blah. And nope, we kept him, and that's what the culture at Ohio State is bigger than any one coach.
And you didn't want it to be Oregon with Dan Lanning and what he's got going on. Because Uncle Phil Knight, he ain't messing around with the money that he is willing.
He's trying to win one. He's trying to win one before he goes out.
That's what he said. And so, they lost Caden Wixon Dye to U.S.
He might just forego the whole swoosh and like the O is just the logo from now on. Like everything Nike's just the O.
Exactly. Hey, we'll hit the finish line of our show next in East to West. You will hear from Coach Day on Indiana's offense, and we'll hit you with our final thoughts on the Big Ten Championship game. This is the KeyBank Fan Pregame Show right here on The Fan.
Big Voice Guy here to remind you that you're listening to The Fan, Ohio sports destination. Okay, thanks. I have 3 more seconds. Bye-bye.
Toyota-thon is on. Get in the spirit of the season with a new Toyota. Now through January 5th, get $3,000 customer cash on remaining new 25 Tundras. Or get 0.99 APR financing plus $1,000 TFS APR cash. With approved credit through TFS, excludes TRD Pro, APR cash must be applied to deal. And every new Toyota comes with 2 years no-cost maintenance. For complete details, go to Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
If you're serving dinner and drinks like I am this holiday season, you're not just working, you're working hard. But thanks to Congressman Mike Carey, that hard work's paying off more than ever. Congressman Carey delivered for working moms like me when he passed the biggest tax cut in United States history. I make a lot of my money in tips. And thanks to Mike Carey, I'm not paying taxes on tips or overtime anymore. And taking home more to my family for the holidays. Mike Carey even passed thousands in tax relief for Ohio seniors. And expanded the child tax credit to $2,200. That means less worrying about making ends meet. And more time spent on things that really matter this holiday season. Hear more about how Congressman Mike Carey's helping my family and yours at carey.house.gov. Paid for with official funds from the Office of Mike Carey.
Sunday, a day of rest, relaxation, and Browns football. Catch the Brownies as they battle the Titans live from the land. This game will not live in infamy.
Kickoff comes your way Sunday at 1.
Your radio home of the Browns, The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
They're trained. They're fired up.
Let's do it.
When you need heat, they can't be beat. They're Ohio State's undefeated heating and cooling team. For plumbing, drain, heating, and cooling, there's only one team. The Waterworks. Better care, better value, better results. Call the Waterworks at 614-232-2222 or visit them online at thewaterworks.com. A proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Hey, what's up? It's T-Bone. The holidays are here, and if you've got a collector in your life, you have to check out Midwest Cards. Thousands of packs and boxes from Pokemon to every sport you can name. It's a full-on collector's dream. Plus, they have signed jerseys and memorabilia that'll make any fan go crazy. The variety is awesome, and the selection legendary. So swing by Midwest Cards today, grab an epic gift or even a gift card, and watch your favorite collector's face light up this holiday season. Get to Midwest Cards today and tell them T-Bone sent you.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
Highs are in the lower to middle 30s here for today, but we are tracking a better chance of rain and snow arriving here for tomorrow with highs in the mid-30s, and we'll catch a break in the activity here for Monday with a little bit more sunshine, partly cloudy and 29 for a high, but we are tracking the return of rain and snow here for Tuesday into Wednesday with highs in the 30s to near 40. And that's a look at your 10 weather impact forecast. I'm meteorologist Aaron White here on 97.1 The Fan.
There's nothing Bo Bishop can't do well, except find competent co-hosts. Bishop and Friends.
Weekdays from 9 to noon.
The Fan. The ultimate way to get ready for another Buckeye victory. You're listening to the KeyBank pregame show. Proud to be your flagship home of the Buckeyes. The Fan. It's the Fan's East to West.
All right, welcome back in. Last segment before we hand it over to AR, Dave Biddle, and Tim May. Big Ten in the books, fellas. Let me get the standings for you guys here. So 9-0 atop the conference this year. Indiana and Ohio State. Oregon finishes 8-1 in the conference. Pretty good year, I'll tell you this, for USC and Lincoln Riley out there, because coming into the year, some pressure was on him to really get that thing rolling because they had some down years in the first two for him. And then Michigan, they finished 7-2 in the conference. Iowa finishes 6-3 in the conference. Those are your ranked teams for the Big Ten this year. Let's lock back into the Big Ten championship game. I want you guys to hear from Coach Day. Here he is on this Hoosier offense.
They stay on schedule. They don't take a lot of negative plays. They create separation in man-to-man, and they do a really good job of putting guys in conflict in the RPO game. So Mendoza's in the middle of it all. He does a nice job of getting the ball out. He's accurate. He's athletic, in my opinion. And, the receivers are doing a great job. They make plays when they get challenged, and you can just tell that they understand their scheme at a high level, and he's the guy in charge making good decisions.
And here he is on the defensive side of things for Indiana.
They see things, and they're fast, and they're quick. And they're an explosive defense. I mean, they are moving every single play, and they are quick, and they do a great job with their hands. So, do a good job in their zone drops, and so we've got to be very in tune with that. We have to expect the movement and the quick and the twitch, and we're trying to rep that right now with our scouts to try to replicate what we're going to see on Saturday.
As you guys can imagine, when you get number one versus number two, the stats on both sides are very, very sexy. One thing that's really jumped out to me, and one thing I can't wait to see, is the battle of third down, because Indiana's defense has been awesome getting teams off the field. They're top 5 in the nation in doing that. Ohio State's top 5 in the nation of staying on the field in third down. So something's got to give there. I just think where the balance is right now for this Ohio State offense, especially with the run game and how that's come along, because coming out of the UCLA game, the Rutgers game, those were bad run defenses that they went against. People wanted to see, can you do it against Michigan? So now they're just at a point now where I think they're going to put that defense and maybe their defensive coordinator in a bind with just the balance that they have going in. So that's a big one for me, fellas. Third down's always big in every game, but when you're talking about these two teams and how talented they are, that's going to be a big focal point for me.
But even to take it further, when you talk about the way our offense has played all year long and just the slow, methodical, like you got to pick those third downs up, because you got to keep moving the clock. You got to keep doing. So if you're going to play that way, and and all year long, it's when are they going to take the throttle off? We're just going to, I don't know what people are expecting. We're not just going to throw the ball deep 3 times in a row and then go to the sideline and come back and do it again. Like, we still got to run our offense, but at times maybe we speed it up a little bit on them. The tempo. So I think the third down is huge, because the way we like to play, and especially in a game like this with the offense that Indiana has. if we're able to keep them off the field, that's the best defense, right? And we're also allowing our defense to rest while we're on the field. So third downs are huge. I think special teams can be huge in this game as well. And I think Indiana probably has the notch there on the special teams, in my opinion. They got 3 block punts this year. They got some fake punts. I mean, they like to do things and mix things up there. I know we had 1 fake punt earlier in the year, but other than that, our special teams are kind of that blah, in my opinion. So hopefully it doesn't come down to something like that tonight, but something else to look out for.
That was a huge part of last year's game,
Yeah,
too.
it was. Yeah,
I mean,
you're right.
It wasn't really the offensive defensive battle. Like, there was kind of a stalemate there when they were here. It was, the block punt really let the floodgates out. The punt return.
Yeah, the punt return.
Then that was like the 14-point swing right there, and that really deflated everything. And then the late touchdown, I don't even know if you count that in there. It looks good on the score, but offensively, defensively, I mean, they were pretty well matched. I think one thing, Mendoza hasn't been great on the road this year. I don't know how much of a road game this will be for him, but it won't be in Bloomington. So I think there's still a piece there that he needs to prove. I think you're absolutely right. These defenses going against each other, there's a lot of guys on both sides. It's hard to say. Like, you could go through like some, I don't know, X factors. I think Indiana's offensive line is a lot better than they were last year. I think they've been, because I watched that Oregon game. I went back and watched it, and they were just kind of pushing them. I mean, it was a good battle. Like, Oregon's a good team, but when they wanted to run the ball and move the ball, that offensive line was doing their job. Like, this was not Indiana of old. To me, this game, and maybe Indiana has overcome this, but I think an extension of what you said, Justin, about special teams being a difference and how it was before, I don't see that as much as the actual units scheming in one way or the other. Why I think that shows is because traditionally in these games, there's been talent on the fringes that make the difference. Like, you can match up with Ohio State man for man in your starters. But when you're Ohio State, you have the gift of the guys that are playing special teams are probably going to be our starters next year. They're the guys that we hadn't talked about and don't even know who they are yet. But they're dudes. And that has been the difference of, like, you can get it for a quarter, you can get it for a half, but can you sustain that constant pressure of man to man? Because I think it becomes a man versus man game. Is your number 5 on kickoff return better than our number 5 on kickoff return? And I think that's why Ohio State has been able to survive these, or at least last year against Indiana, because they blew it open on that side. Your punt return versus our punt return. That's not our starters out there. That's the rest of your roster. And that's where you show that strength. So I think special teams or talent on the fringes will be the difference, because this Indiana team they're solid on both sides of the ball. They just are. This is a better team than last year. They are a better team.
Completely agree. And they got the experience, too, for these type of moments.
It's not the first time they've been in a big game. They were in the playoff last year.
They're not going to shrivel up. One thing before we go you mentioned that Oregon game, and something in the Penn State game, too, is the playmakers on the outside for Oregon and Penn State kind of popped off a little bit. 4 to 5 guys in those games where it was, hey, this guy 15-yard catch, this guy 20-yard catch. And so when you think about Carnell and Julian and maybe even Max Clare in the middle of the field, I wouldn't be surprised if some big plays happen in time for Ohio State. Justin, this has been awesome.
Yeah. I appreciate you guys having me down.
Coming in.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
Appreciate you doing that, Dane. You know, man, you had to grind this week, man. I didn't doubt that you would be here. Didn't doubt that you would be here. Isaac.
Next time we're in here.
Good stuff on the board. Folks, we're going to hand this thing over now to my main man, Anthony Rotherman, Dave Biddle, and Tim May as they continue to get you ready for Ohio State and Indiana. This has been the KeyBank Fan Pregame Show right here on The Fan.
1, 2, 3. Here in The Fan is always football o'clock. Proud to be your home of the Buckeyes, Browns, and all the